Let's move on to the next discussion, possible action on beautification projects in the city of Castle Hills. Maddie.
So the garden club has met and we talked about sprucing up the we're going to start with 3 planters instead of all 9. So we tried the planters on Carrollwood, Atwater, and Prince that we're going to kind of start with. And Ryan had offered possibly using city funding for plants. So I guess our question is, what is our budget for that? And if Public Works can really help out with pressure washing, you know, we get that going with our first 3, and when is that possible to be done? We'd like to start planning on or before this beautification day on April 29th. We're also working on sending a letter to the homeowners that the planners are, located on their property likely. We might need their help with water and just, want their engagement in this if they're interested. So we're working on a letter to send to those homeowners that are on that corner, but that's about it. So
Nice.
Just a quick suggestion, Maddie, if you could give Ryan and Scott some idea of what you think the plants are going to cost, that would probably be helpful. Then he would kind of know where to look for them.
Okay.
And how to approach
I
it.
think we were thinking 3 to 4 plants per planter at $20 each, and then maybe a couple bags of soil. So likely under $100 per planter. Does that sound reasonable?
That sounds eminently reasonable to me.
And what did you want done specifically, like for the pressure washing? Like, so if Ryan's not here, but usually Ryan can say, okay, yeah, they can do that,
I think just for those streets, those 3, this will kind of be our kickoff. And then if it goes well, then we'll start calling on volunteers and see if we can finish up the rest, or,
Okay.
We can pick 1 a quarter or whatever for the next couple of years. But just the brick is, gotten kind of
Weathered and
yeah. So I think it just needs a little pressure wash. And
so on those 3 areas, those 3
Yes.
streets. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So everybody in favor of that, of cleaning those up and asking the city to pressure wash, and asking the city to fund the plants and mulch. So whoever wants to make a motion, and if there's any more discussion about it, open for discussion.
I move that we accept the Garden Club's request for funding and support in 3 at least planters to start with.
Yeah, I second the motion.
All in favor? It's unanimous. So that's what we'll do for that one. Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
That was easy.
Yeah. Discussion and possible action on identifying the need for bathrooms in the commons. I don't know who had this one, but let's open it up for discussion. Yeah, Jack.
Thanks, Bernard. Part of the handout you guys I gave you was 2 diagrams. The color diagram is from the comprehensive plan, and that's the plan that Mr. Middleman and I had worked out in terms of a suggestion for how this building might be renovated. And if you look at that, you can see sort of on the right-hand side in pink are restrooms adjacent to the community room. And that is on the commons side of the building. So that was the thinking, obviously, that we can, in addition to having the community room being closer to the commons, have the restrooms as well be closer. Kind of makes sense. So anyway, this is the layout that Mr. Middleman has come up with. And so he was kind enough this past week to do an overlay, what we call an overlay of this new plan on the existing plan of this building. And that's what this is. That's what this is here. Oops, sorry. The dark walls are where the bathroom would actually land on the existing plan. You can see in just double lines or walls underneath, that's the existing plan. And the dark heavy lines are the new location of the proposed bathroom. And as you can see, it takes up where the city secretary, the little office where the city secretary resides now. So that means that Ryan would have to figure out how to handle that. And he's been very patient. The background to this is that he requested 3 years ago to have more space for staff. And the mayor and myself and others said, wait, let's get this comprehensive plan done to see what the big picture is for this building. He's very patiently waited. And here we are with another idea that's displacing somebody else again. We're going the wrong way. But anyway, you know, that begs the question, do we even want to renovate this building? And I think as we become the stewards, as we transition to being the stewards, we probably need to advise council on how to achieve that. Do we want to spend, you know, $2.5–3 million, whatever it's going to cost to renovate this thing, and have an imperfect solution, or better but imperfect?
Right.
Or do we want to just fix it all and do it right and build a new building, get it just the way we want it, get all the spaces that we need, get the policeman down on the same floor, you know, and a number of other things could be also improved, but that obviously would be considerably more. We don't have any numbers on that at this point, but it'd be way more than $2.5–3 million, of course. Construction prices, as you guys know, has just gone nutty in the last year since the pandemic ended. So anyway, there's that question, which to me is the basic question which should be answered. It's tempting in looking at this, say, okay, well, why don't we move ahead with fixing the administrative piece? Just fix this piece, this half of the building.
Mhm.
Do the administrative offices on that side and reduce council chambers and put it over there. And that way he can solve his problem, his staff space problem more quickly. But my opinion is that and you guys feel free to discuss this as you need to, but my opinion is we need to first decide if we're even going to spend a dime on this building. We don't know when it was built, at least I don't. The city bought it in the 90s and I don't know, put a few dollars into it to achieve this, but it's obviously quite dysfunctional, which is why we even addressed it in the first place. But in any event, you know, it seems to me that hiring a professional, and I mean a professional very sincerely, because I think the volunteers have done as much as they can in terms of identifying this problem. So if we can bring a professional in and analyze what it would take, figure out the space needs for everybody, analyze what it would take to convert this building, to upgrade the air conditioning. I think the air conditioning is all original. And, you know, fix the police issues over there. And a lot of other good things that Mr. Middleman has come up with. But anyway, what would the cost of that be versus building a new building? And we know it's going to be way different, but it seems to me a question that the community should have the opportunity to answer. You know, do they want to continue on just patching this old timer? Or is it time to bite the bullet and get a certificate of obligation or something, however council would figure out how to find that money, and just do a beautiful new building?
So what I was going to bring up is, as a person who doesn't really come over here very often, like I vote got my flu shot, come to this meeting. I didn't know there were problems. So I think the first thing for the average person who may not use this building very much, and if we do come to other events out on the commons, we live so close, we just go home if we have to go to the bathroom. I mean, we really don't use the bathrooms here. And if we did, they're right there. So I think the first thing is we need to identify what the actual problems are, because I wouldn't think there was any problem coming over. I think it looks nice. It looks clean. This looks really nice. So identifying the problem and why it's a problem, I think would be important for our citizens to be invested, to spend any money on this, or know
Sure.
why does this need to be fixed? Because as a person who doesn't come over here that often, it looks fine to me.
Well, that's an excellent question. But believe it or not, the answer is found in that comprehensive plan. We've described it, and there's a list of problems with the building, functional issues with the building. In my mind, the first of which is you come to the front door and you can't get to the city manager without going to the back. You have to go to the back to get to the city manager and administration. If you want to use the restroom, you have to go into the police department. If you want to use the community room, you have to go through the police department or enter it from outside. It's inaccessible through the building itself, actually. And so those are some of the functional issues, and not to mention Ryan's staff problems that I talked about a moment ago. He's got insufficient space for his staff. It's not like he's been hiring people left and right. That's not happening at all. It's just that the space is inadequate for him, always was. So those are some of the functional problems with it. Aesthetically, we think it could be improved. There are those who think it's kind of churchy looking, and obviously it was a church, at one time. It doesn't really look like a city hall. And there's a number of things I think that could be improved with this building. And another possibility is maybe if we could do solar panels or something like that, improvements on an environmental, I think get a more efficient energy system in here, a more current efficient energy system. So there's a lot of things that could benefit, but also there's some problems too. And so hopefully those are reasonably well described in the plan. And we would leave it to the public to let us know what they think.
And I think that's great. And I'm not against it by any means. I just think of the opposing factions that will pick one thing and then run on that to run for office, that we need to be really prepared. And yes, but not everybody has access to this plan. So making sure those reasons are highlighted and people know about it and know why this is proposed. So
Right.
that's my point, I'm not
That's
against
an
it,
excellent
but-
point. Communication is always tricky. It's been on, the draft has been on the website since mid-December, I believe. Scott got it on the website. It's been sitting here in the city hall since that time for those who wanted to come by and look at a hard copy. And we've talked about it. We've had a public forum on it. You guys have commented on it. The Garden Club, Manny was nice enough to invite me to make a brief presentation with the Garden Club. So we've had a lot of input on the plan. But I'm sure, there are those that very frankly aren't paying attention. And one thing that was suggested to me by a friend is that we might do something at Fiesta. And actually, we've reserved a table at Fiesta, and maybe we could get some boards or something that shows some of the key items in the comprehensive plan or something, and maybe that list of priorities, and kind of ask people, well, what do you think is really important here? And we can keep track of some of that. But that's a way of getting it right in the community, because then people who haven't don't know a thing about it, and there's a lot, I'm sure, would get a chance to see it for the first time. But anyway, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. I don't want to go down that path yet till we finish discussing Cindy's comments. But yeah, no, those are, excellent points, Cindy, and we need to be very sensitive to them.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on Cindy's comment. I would agree that there's a lot of folks in the community who don't see it as a problem. They've gotten used to, they know where the bathroom is, they know where to get to the community center. But the question that came to my mind was, have the police expressed any issues about or problems with the community using the bathroom, the police bathroom?
I think they tolerate it, Vic.
They tolerate it.
I haven't actually asked them that question, but the bathrooms are right next to the dispatch
Right.
office. And, the police department is supposed to have a wall between them for security reasons,
Mhm.
between them and the public. And I'm sure they're not entirely comfortable with that. But the new plan fixes that. It has those restrooms accessible to the lobby, and the police, you enter the police department and it's only the police. So that was one of the I guess functional issues that we tried to look at.
Okay.
But that's, another really good question though. Thank you.
Has there been any discussions, Jack, like on access for it? I'm just looking at it, with it opening out to the outside and then opening into the city hall just to prevent people from coming in and then, accessing the building when they shouldn't be in the building type thing.
Matt, we really haven't got to that level of detail in this discussion, and you'll notice that there's the door opens. It looks like there's some condensers out there. I know there's at least one. I didn't realize there was two. So, this is a concept. This is very early going. And I think, good questions like that would be addressed by designers and then by, with the community. But before we do anything, we show it to the community and say, okay, folks, this is what we propose. What do you think? But yeah, no, you guys are asking really good questions. So that's good. I know it's gonna turn out right. Whatever we do, it's gonna turn out right. But anyway, I think the upshot to the discussion about whether we renovate or build a new building is the need for restrooms in the commons is pretty urgent.
Right.
And so some of us were talking earlier about the possibility of bringing in, rather than those crummy porta potties, those trailers that are bathrooms. I have no idea what they cost. But Bernard suggested maybe leasing one for a year or something like that. Put it over here in the parking lot, not in the commons, but adjacent to the commons. And just kind of see how it goes. That way, if the 2-year-olds have to go and, when they have to say they have to go, they really do.
Right.
So, that might be something. There's a cost to that, obviously. But maybe that's something that, this group could look into and propose that if we think it's reasonable to council.
Mhm.
But we would need a volunteer to look into those things and what the cost, what the options are. Are there, is it a single wide, a double wide, whatever the deal is. Hopefully it's not a full-size trailer. All we need is a few bathrooms. But it might be helpful if one of the group would be willing to spend a little Google time and maybe come up with some suggestions for us.
Anybody? I'll do it if no one else wants to do it, so. But if anybody else can, all right. Yes, I'll do a little research. Yes.
Bernard, we can tag team that. I'll be happy to help you Google
Okay,
that.
perfect. Well, that's good. Yeah, it's just a little research and goes a long way. You say, oh, no, that's probably not going to work.
And there may be local vendors who have that, and maybe you can have a conversation with a couple of those guys and get a sense of what the real cost is here in San Antonio.
Right.
Thank you,
All right.
Bernard, Vic, for offering to do that.
Yes.
Thanks for volunteering.
All right, discussion and possible action on commission tasks for the near future. Mr. Joyce.
I was joking with Matt a moment ago. If it wasn't for me, you guys could be out of here at 10:15. Okay. I think, forgive me while I review my list. We talked about the restrooms. Okay, one of the big things, I guess, moving ahead is that it's really important, I think, if we're going to recommend that we become the stewards of this plan, that there be a transition from CPAC, the advisory committee, to us. And I had a nice conversation with Bernard the other day about maybe helping make that presentation to council. I know the chair is Ms. McLean, Amy, and she's gone that week. Loretta Scott, who is the co-chair, will be there, so she can participate in the presentation. But I think it would be really nice, and Bernard acquiesced to this, for us to help make that presentation. And which means we got to start learning this stuff ourselves, And so, Bernard was willing to do that, and Vic also offered to help. Thank you, guys. But I think it would be nice if a couple of members of our group help with that presentation, or at least we're there. And Bernard could say, here's our Parks and Project members here tonight to, show our encouragement for this project.
And that's for the city council meeting on March
14th. Right. So yours truly is in the midst of putting together a PowerPoint presentation, hopefully real short. The previous one in December was unending. But anyway, we had to show everything. But this time we don't. This time we're just going to show what's really important. They've seen it. They kind of know what's in it. We got to show what's really important, show what their priorities are, and then make our recommendations for priorities. And that will be together with CPAC. And so I think we'll have some sort of rehearsal or something at some point beforehand. But first I got to get the presentation done. I'm probably about halfway through, but I need to finish that. Hopefully not more than a dozen, maybe 15 pages. It's because we got to be in and out. We don't want to, I think it's going to be a pretty long agenda in March. And so we don't want to take too much time. So anyway, that's kind of the plan on that. And so I will be in touch with you guys when I'll send you that presentation when it's done, and you can all have a look at it. And if there's other volunteers who would like to speak or at least be there the evening of the 14th, that would be very helpful. Okay. That's that topic. And then the only other thing then I guess I believe is the Fiesta. I've been working with a young lady who helped with the graphics of the comprehensive plan, but she's not free. And I'm sure she'd be happy to put some boards together for us, or at least put the graphic together that we can have printed and put on a board ourselves. It'd probably be less expensive that way. But it's going to take some money. She charges $25 an hour. It'll probably be, I don't know, not more than a couple hours, I would think. Actually, probably wouldn't be more than 3 or 4 hours. I can't imagine it'd be more than a couple $100. And I believe an expenditure like that is something that Mr. Rapley can use his discretion to do. But anyway, that's, if you guys are on board with that, I'd like to proceed with that, with the understanding that, and if I'd appreciate if somebody would maybe make a motion to do that and ask the city to fund, 3 or 4 boards for the for Fiesta, for our booth at Fiesta. And we'll get some easels or something and stand them up, we'll figure that out. But we do need to have those boards made. So anyway, if somebody be good enough to maybe do a motion to that effect and vote on it, that would be very helpful. But please feel free to discuss what you guys think.
So you're talking about having a booth at Fiesta. Do we know how many actual Castle Hills residents attend Fiesta compared to the outside public?
Well, I don't, Maddie, but I'm sure Norma McClellan does. Well, maybe, I don't know. Do they even keep track of who's who?
No, but I think the majority of the people are
You
Castle
think-
Hills residents, right?
And are we having folks to answer questions? Like who's gonna be there? You just see.
I'll be there, and the CPAC committee themselves have been asked to be there as well. I haven't heard much back from them, so I don't know how that attendance is going to go. But I'll be there. So I can, unfortunately, I've been with this thing from the start, so hopefully I could answer questions that you guys are not able to.
All right.
And it's is it from 11 to 5? Is that when the fair is? It's during the
so.
fair.
Yeah,
I think it's 11 to 5.
I move that we request funding for boards to present the comprehensive plan at Fiesta.
I second.
Approximately, I would say approximately $200.
so yes, so we'll ask the city manager to do that. So that's a motion. We got a second by Cindy. All in favor? All right, it's unanimous. So it's ask the city to do that. Yes. It's the small things, you know.
Well, I just think the more information we can put out there, the more support we'll
Right,
have,
right.
for that. And can somebody tell me the date for Fiesta Castle Hills?
April 22nd.
And then the beautification day is the week after that.
Correct.
Okay.
Good, Vic.
The second weekend of Fiesta.
Yeah, and on the beautification day, that's we're gonna do like cleanup and
So I think the women's club, I think, was just thinking, residents could help their neighbor do a project. I think JR was thinking about more of a cleanup day, have volunteers pick up trash kind of a thing. I think, yeah, we have a couple different ideas going around. It is the second weekend of Fiesta. King William Fair is going on. So that's where I intend to be, but
yeah.
yeah, so that's what Gardens Club's contribution was going to be, the planters.
Okay.
So not necessarily to be done on that exact day, but that can be kind of our contribution.
Okay, nice. Yes, I always like cleaning up. Those cleanup days are, because there's always more trash. So it's, the next day there's just gonna be more trash, but got to start somewhere. Any other discussions that y'all have? All right, we're coming to a close. Discussion and announce the date and time of our next meeting. Oh, wait, I wanted to say something. Ryan, I forgot, Ryan told me to say something. He said he bought 3 picnic tables and 2 bike racks for the commons. So that's on their way. So this should be here in the next couple weeks. Yes. Very, very good. Any suggestions for time and place? No, place is here. Time of the next meeting.
Well, we usually do the second Saturday of April, of the month, but that's like Easter weekend. So I don't know.
Maybe the following weekend, then the 15th.
I'm okay with the 15th.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So,
And I think it's important. I think it
Okay.
would be good for us as a committee to also, I don't know if anybody's watching, but if they are, to highlight upcoming events. Like we have that bike ride coming up and there's something else. And it's like so many, if I don't write it in my calendar, I don't remember. It's when I'm scrolling through Facebook that I see that.
right.
But I think as many times, every time a committee meets, we should be saying, okay, and don't forget on March, whatever, we have this bike ride and on this day we have this and beautification day, and just to say it. It's just an
Right.
announcement, not an opinion or anything, just so it keeps getting out there so we get more community involvement.
No, that's a great thought, if I may. And you know what they have at the end of the council meeting is a thing called announcements
Mhm.
for that very thing. So maybe we could add that to ours as
Right,
well. I
right,
don't
right,
think
yeah.
that's a big deal.
So our next meeting will be April 15th at 10 a.m. in this building. All in favor? All right. So that will bring our meeting to a close. I don't know if we need a motion to adjourn, but let's go for it. A motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All. We are adjourned. Thank y'all for coming. Thank you for all your help and expertise.